of you folks have generational specific ERGs at your organizations? Just curious. Okay, Paul is a Gen in Tech. Who at your company? PG&E. Great. Yes. Who all have their hands that I see? Yes.
Cisco?
At Cisco, yes. A couple of them, right? Absolutely. So kind of cutting edge groups, just to piggyback on Desmond's point about the changing definition of diversity. We've got the 5 original groups that we see in a lot of organizations, but they're really starting to proliferate. It's really exciting. There are parenting groups starting, family networks, generational groups, both new hire networks and mature worker groups. We've got veterans groups, which are military and ex-military. So there's a really an exciting change afoot in the world of ERGs. And the challenge, as Desmond was saying, was remembering that the work isn't done of the original groups. We don't have enough women in senior management. We do not have enough people of color represented in leadership ranks. We don't have enough out gay executives, for example. So we, as the ERG warriors that we are, we've got to pay attention to working that agenda and keeping that top of mind for our sponsors and our executives. But at the same time, welcoming a changing definition of what diversity means, especially for the younger generations, because they are so diverse, they've never known any other way of being. And they will come up to you, I don't know if this has happened to you, but they come up to me and they say, you know, I don't necessarily want to be part of the women's group. I want to be recognized for the work that I do. And after I sort of start to breathe again when they say that to me, they say, hold on, you can't just opt out like that because there's so much to be done. But at the same time, we've really been so successful in changing hearts and minds, especially amongst the younger generation, for how they see diversity. But what does this mean for affinity groups in your organization? What are they going to look like 10 years from now? Are we going to still have the same ones? Are we going to have 20 more? Is Gen Y going to completely redefine the whole conversation? So that's what her keynote made me think of. And you'll hear probably a lot about that in your panels today, probably specifically the social media one, I would imagine, because the younger generations are also the ones that are playing with technology and making recommendations to our companies. So speaking of technology, we do have an executive sponsor here at one of my favorite companies, and let it be said, clients adore Cisco. We have Sherry Lebo here. She is the VP, actually, ERG executive sponsor for the LGBT group at Cisco. And Cisco's got, what, 12 groups? 14
Something
groups?
like that. No, I think it's under 10.
Okay, under 10.
A number of
Great. And then we've got Rodney from Schwab. And Rodney, I've already christened him a mini executive sponsor, and I'll let him tell you why. He's not a small guy, but he's a place to try on a new skin, you know, a new professional skin, you know, a new personal brand that you may be working on in terms of positioning yourself for a different kind of role or something that you see in your future that, you know, let's face it, a lot of us aren't living our dreams in our current jobs today, although our ERG work makes us really happy, that's for sure. People will say, boy, you know, the company's over here in my mind, but like really close to my heart is what I do for the ERG. And when I hear that, I'm always struck that if companies knew the passion that we bring to that, and we looked at that as an engine for growth and innovation, what an incredible opportunity for executives to grasp that and harness it. Because there's that, the loyalty that everybody talks about being gone in the corporate environment anymore is still there, but it's living in the ERGs. That's where it is. And the loyalty is not just between employee and company, it's to employee, because there's a commonality of identity and experience that's so valuable for us to help us feel like we belong, especially as we virtualize. When you think about how spread teams are these days, what do they connect back into? You know, most likely maybe an ERG is their home base and where they start with their network. So very interesting for executive sponsors is what they get out of the experience of supporting the groups. Because I think when we look for new executive sponsors, or we kind of think, well, what do we want in an executive sponsor? You have to think about the WIFM for them. What's in it for them? How are they changed by the experience of representing us? What's in it for their professional development? You know, Sherry, you said something so funny to me. You said, you know, people think executives are like sprinkled with magic dust and they like know all the answers and they know exactly how to support you. And it amazes you, they'll come to a meeting with you, for example, not your group, but just generally, that anybody comes to a meeting without a laundry list of things that you want. We want this, we want that, we want that, how can you help us with this, how can you help us with that? You know, and so that requires some planning. But she says, treat me like an 8-year-old and explain it to me. Tell me what you need me to do for you. So I think my experience at ERGs is we don't get that organized and we don't get that granular with our executive sponsors, and we kind of think they magically should know what we need by osmosis. He was talking about 1.0 and to 3.0. So it's a term we throw around a lot. Old school thinking versus sort of the next, setting ourselves up for success for the next 10 years. And the balance between cultural education of our workforces, so food fairs and holiday celebrations and Gay Pride Month and these important things that we do, and balancing it with real business impact, because it is in the future of all of our groups, is to figure out how to open up new channels, open up new markets, be an engine for talent development within our organizations. And all of these things have an ROI to them. So when we were preparing our conversations, I asked these two, and recognizing that this is still a very emergent area for probably most of your companies as well, even in little ways, how are we making the business case for ourselves? And so I know both of you had kind of an answer for that.